Bulavinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tavenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news, what will the new budget bring as we count down to the announcement? PM Bainimarama blasts politicians for land ownership insecurities. And Yellow Ribbon Project relaunched.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
With only a day to go before the announcement of the 2017-2018 financial year budget, the Ministry of Economy is focused on ensuring the growth of the Fijian economy. The latest edition of the national budget is expected to build upon the progress our economy has achieved, despite the massive setback caused by Cyclone Winston. Akosita Tale with more.
9 weeks of budget consultations with submissions from civil society groups, non-governmental organizations, Fijians living with disabilities and representatives from the private sector and views of common Fijians are expected to greatly influence tomorrow's national budget announcement.
Well, as you know, it's not prudent to comment on what's going to be in the budget, but we of course will ensure that the budget is focused on economic development and economic empowerment. As we have seen, it's also focused on liberalizing the economy.
Written submissions were also sent to the ministry with expectations high for the budget to not only create and sustain employment opportunities, but to also create ways on how global hikes in food costs could be eased for all Fijians.
And of course, at the end of the day, to empower ordinary Fijian men and women to be able to participate equally in the economic space, the market space, and also to be able to ensure that we do look after those people who are on the margins of society and bring them to the center.
FBC News understands there will be major announcements regarding the civil service, TELS, social welfare, health and infrastructure, and the tax regime, amongst other things. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
Akosita now joins us live from Parliament, where the announcement will be held. Akosita, what can you share about the budget announcement tomorrow, and do we expect some good news?
Yes, Jackie, we expect major announcements tomorrow when the 2016 and 2017 financial year ends and the 2017 and 2018 financial year begins. Now, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport received the biggest budget allocation last year with $879.5 million, and a huge chunk of that amount was directed to the Fiji Roads Authority with $527.5 million. Now, some of the areas we can look forward to is the Education Ministry, the Civil Service Ministry, the Ministry for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, and others. Now, these are just some of the main ones we can look forward to tomorrow that can receive an increased budget from the last financial year. Now, we can also expect an increase on cigarettes, alcohol, sugar-sweetened and carbonated drinks, and there may also be changes in fiscal duties and excise rates. Now, don't forget, other key initiatives may also be announced tomorrow. The budget announcement will only be for an hour from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., but our coverage on FBC TV will begin from 6:30 p.m. and also the budget address will be live on our sister radio stations on RF1, RF2 and Gold FM. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that update, Akosita. An academic has predicted that the 2017-2018 budget will aim to build on its progressive spend on infrastructure, while at the same time increase the budgets of the disciplined forces because of the 2018 general elections. Dr. Nilesh Gounder from the University of the South Pacific says he expects the usual spends on education and possible tax hikes to prop up government's revenues. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
It's that time of the year where you hold onto your wallet and wait for what's in store. Will you be spending more or less? Will the new taxes affect you or not? The national budget is being announced tomorrow, and these are some possible scenarios.
There's an expectation that Fiji Police Force and Fiji Correction Service will receive an increase in operating grant as well. There's also expectation that civil servants will receive a significant pay rise. This will definitely push up operating expenditures.
Dr. Ganda says he expects the sale of state assets to feature again in this budget.
The previous target in terms of selling of government assets have not been achieved. For instance, we are not sure about the privatizing receipts for Fiji Electricity Authority. Some other privatizing receipts have been realized, but certainly there has been a shortfall.
While the government will be pushing its 9th year of economic growth, Dr. Ganda says reining in the debt also needs to be looked at. FBC News asked a few people what their wish list for the budget is.
Some kind of tax on plastic bags and PET bottles, so any plastic which makes its way into the ocean, I'd like to see them taxed.
It doesn't make difference to me. It doesn't make much difference. It's high or it's low. It doesn't make a big difference.
Definitely love if they could make uni fees cheaper and be easier for the students, for us here locally and in the Pacific region.
The national budget announcement will be aired live on FBC TV tomorrow night from 7:30 p.m. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Itaukes who own majority of land in Fiji have for far too long faced the issue of being asset-rich but cash-poor. Prime Minister Vorengen Bainimarama says this is because politicians in the past have politicized land ownership. Ropate Valeme reports.
The first ever Itauke land development marks the new era of prosperity and empowerment for the indigenous people.
Of course, in the midst of such protections and achievements, we've seen time and again the usual suspects in the opposition go through the same tired charade of spreading fear and spinning lies.
Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony in Yandu Nandrunga, Bainimarama said attempts are being made to deceive the Itaukes for personal political ambitions.
The facts speak for themselves. And the fact is, not 1 inch of Itauke land has been lost under my government. And today, around 91% of the land in Fiji is owned by the Itaukes.
13 residential lots will be developed here, which will cost around $2.5 million. The development has been funded by the government.
We waited for 17 years for this project since the trust was formed in 2007. The land was leased and surveyed for the scheme to be launched. At this stage, we are focusing on the roads, electricity and water.
The land behind me spreads another 5 acres. This will be utilized by the Matangali to build another service station and a restaurant for a source of income for families in their Matangali. Ropate Valeme, FBC News.
A more specific approach is going to be taken under the Fiji Corrections Service Yellow Ribbon Project. The project was relaunched today in a bid to better the rehabilitation process involving the inmates and their provinces. Pranita Prakash reports.
176 inmates around the country are from the province of Serua Namosi, and the Corrections Department saw it fit to relaunch the project here.
We need all of us to be part of the big continent so that the inmates from the Serua Namosi province, once they return into community, they have a sense of care, sense of belonging and sense of ownership.
Corrections Commissioner Francis Keane says they want to reduce the rate of reoffenders.
As I said in my earlier comments, we are the first prison. The second prison is the community that they go back to. Stigma is very real. Something that you hear about today is very real. And it's this culture that we're trying to break down, this culture that we are trying to change. I again call upon you all, please take a keen interest in the men and women of your respective provinces that are currently incarcerated. That take an interest in their lives, take an interest that what can they come back to into a community.
Similar workshops will be held in other provinces as the Corrections Services looks at ensuring inmates are accepted into the society after their release. There are 213 inmates, of which around 1,500 have been convicted, while others are awaiting trial. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Still to come, 2014 elections claims without merit or substantial evidence. An FBC unveils contestant for Bula Festival. Details after the break.
Nimbula vinaka na yavangunga andi moala radada ranalika au tikongona tau no singatoka ando talitaka na vakaronga na Bula FM number 2 na serre.
Ya dora chubuli kurna bili ibora ni batukara hambara binaranga do talitakina na vakaronga na Bula FM number 2 na serre.
Bula FM number 2 na serre.
Claims of irregularities by certain political parties in the 2014 national elections are without merit or substantial evidence. Such allegations only serve to undermine the public's faith in the electoral process, according to the Electoral Commission. Rachel Nath reports.
5 political parties made the claim of irregularities. They were National Federation Party, Social Democratic Liberal Party, Fiji United Freedom Party, Fiji Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party.
The Commission also extended final opportunity to all the 5 parties to submit purported evidence of irregularities in 2014 general election.
However, all 5 parties failed to provide evidence after 2 requests were made from the Commission.
Since these parties have failed to provide any evidence, all allegations from 2014 lacks merits and are falsely designed only to serve to undermine the public's faith in the electoral process.
Also discussed were the implementations of the recommendation by the Multinational Observer Group report.
19 out of 38 recommendations have been accepted and decided to reject 10 recommendations.
Meanwhile, opposition MP believes in order to have fair elections, certain laws need to be re-examined.
Certain laws should be looked at again for the good or the good of our democracy.
We cannot change the law as it is, and that is why we are here.
The Electoral Commission believes by stating its position on these reports, it allows for consistency and certainty in the electoral process. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
The Defence Counsel in the case of former Fiji National University Vice-Chancellor Ganesh Chand claims no court has the right to hear challenge of any executive decision made. Chand is charged with 1 count of abuse of office for allegedly approving payment for overseas medical treatment of former Education Minister Philippe Mbole without the approval of the FNU Council. Defence lawyer Devanesh Sharma says Chand held public office under the FNU decree and he made an executive decision to allow and process Mbole's claim for overseas medical treatment. FICAC counsel Reshmi Aslam acknowledged receiving the letter and has requested for a month's time to provide the response. The matter has been adjourned to July 28th. It's important for parents to be aware of the signs and symptoms of childhood cancer before it's too late. Whilst Kids Fiji says more than 70 children in Fiji have cancer and the youngest patient is a 7-month-old baby.
Continuous weight loss, fatigue, fever, bone and joint pain are some of the symptoms that indicate a child might just be suffering from cancer.
What we've heard from the hospitals is most of the cases when by the time they reach the hospitals it's too late. So they've reached the later stages of cancer. Because as parents we know our children much better than anyone. So we need to be aware of the early signs of childhood cancer, high temperature and vomiting. But if it continuously happens over a longer period of time, then you need to realize that something is obviously wrong there.
Volunteer Andy Kabundu Lama says it's never easy visiting kids fighting for their lives every day at the hospital.
Really hard to see one of the patients to survive. Actually, it might just take them how many weeks or days. The parents they always have to be they have to be prepared all the time because they'll never know what comes and goes.
Whilst Kids Fiji is promoting August as Child Cancer Awareness Month aimed at creating awareness of the signs and symptoms of cancer.
And we'll have activities throughout the day, fun activities and also activities to create awareness.
Whilst Kids Fiji team leader Viola Lesi says most child cancer patients suffer from leukemia and it's important early detection is done. Kelly Badala, FBC News.
18-year-old Ashika Menon will represent Fiji Broadcasting Corporation as Miss Today FM at this year's Samsung S8 Bula Festival in Nandi. Menon says she will use the platform to advocate on the effects of climate change in Fiji and the Pacific.
Bula as an example to advocate to young children about my advocacy, which is the most increasing issue which is climate change. In today's society, children are not aware of what is climate change or how to prevent it or how to be able to reduce the impacts and the effects of climate change.
Up ahead in sports with Jamie, flying Fijians injury-free as they begin preparations for PNC. But joining us next is Rachel with business.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Good evening, and coming up in business tonight. FNPF launches new digital platform for members. And in growing Fiji, new water tanks to ease water problems for Coral Islanders. Stay with us.
I'm under of whenever I want to tune in to listen to great music, I always tune in to my favorite radio station, Gold FM, only the classic.
My name is Lita. We love listening to Gold FM here at the Fiji Hideaway Resort and Spa. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
We here at Tano Waterfront Lautoka love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. Leading business tonight, the Fiji National Provident Fund has launched its key digital platforms, including a new mobile application called My FNPF app. FNPF has also revamped its website, enhanced its SMS facilities, My Fund, and introduced FNPF kiosks at selected offices around the country. These services are tailor-made for members who frequently visit FNPF office to find out their account balances and other basic information. The app allows members and pensioners real-time access to their FNPF account information via smartphones. We now join Elizabeth from HFC Bank, who has the latest from the trading world.
Good evening. The euro strengthened after European Central Bank President Mario Draghi's upbeat comments yesterday. Investors took his words as a signal the ECB was preparing to announce a cut in its massive bond purchases, perhaps as soon as September. Meanwhile, Wall Street stumbled after a vote on healthcare legislation was delayed in the U.S. Senate. The Nasdaq 100 dropped 1.8%, the S&P 500 lost 0.8%, and the Dow Jones average was down 0.5%. All of this may have been a factor in the nearly 2% rise in the price of oil, boosted by a weak U.S. dollar and Chinese iron ore prices, which surged 6% to one-month highs. Vinaka, and back to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Looking at today's exchange rates, the Fijian dollar strengthened against the Chinese yuan to close at 3.24, while the American dollar weakened, closing at 47 cents. As for our regional currencies, the Australian dollar strengthened, closing at 62 cents, and the New Zealand and PNG Kina followed suit, closing at 64 cents and 133. As for the commodities market, oil price an increase across the index today as oil prices rose to close at 43.83 a barrel. Gold closed at 1,249 an ounce, and silver followed suit, closing at 16.70 an ounce. And in growing Fiji tonight, water supply will no longer be a problem for around 3,700 people on Coral Island, as 14 villages receive 10,000 litres water tanks each that will enhance water storage systems on the island. Anthony Suliana has more.
These water tanks were handed over by the Latter-day Saints Church to the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development.
The charity arm of the LDS Church extends to those that are in need. The water tanks for the people of Coral will ease their life and their burdens, that they'll be able to have fresh water after the cyclone that devastated the island of Coral.
Assistant Minister Choweli Dawaki says the donation is timely as people are still recovering from the effects of Tropical Cyclone Winston.
We have identified Coral because Coral Island is one of the most devastated areas in Fiji that was devastated by Cyclone Winston. And for Coral, this contribution by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will enormously assist in the rehabilitation.
These 14 tanks will be shifted out to Coral Island, catering 14 villages and 3 settlements. The Coral Island was one of the worst affected islands after Cyclone Winston struck last year. Anthony Suliana, FBC News.
And that's your business news this evening. Now to the latest in sports. Here's Jamie.
Thank you, Rachel, and good evening. Up ahead in sports, Winston Hill qualifies for World Champs. And Fiji Car Club finally gets a track. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेकी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन तो बताओ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।
Fiji's Olympian Winston Hill has booked his place at the World Championships in Germany after reaching the final of the Oceania qualifying competition. Hill beat New Zealand's Leroy Hindley on split points in the semi-final of the Oceania Boxing Championships and will face Australia's Andrew Hunt in the final tomorrow. Boxing fans have been urged to come out in numbers to support the Canada-Fiji boxing promotion on Friday. The main event between Sebastian Singh and Junior Fazan Ali has generated a lot of hype and is being tipped to be Fiji's bout of the decade. Rohit Deo has more.
It's the fight all boxing fans have been craving for.
Hey, make sure you don't bring no medical certificate, yeah?
Urging all the boxing fans and the people of Fiji to turn out in huge numbers to witness quality fights. Secondly, it falls on a public holiday.
Promoter Simon Noshad says they've adhered to the fans' demand of giving them the best bout.
Far for too long, we haven't been getting some good fights, and this fight is what the people want to see, because this is the fight. This is the battle between the two champions.
Similar programs are being planned for the southern and the northern divisions that will be held later this year.
We want to host a title fight in Suva in our next program, and also we want to host a program in Lambaso later on this year.
Former boxer Napoleon Tomei Piao is anticipating it to be one of the best fights ever.
It's definitely going to be up there. You know, it's going to be up there with the Joseph Quadro and Joy Ali fight. You know, and maybe a lot more other fights from the past. But myself, I'm excited to watch it. So I mean, I think that says a lot because I've seen a lot of fights here in Fiji, but this one I won't miss.
The program begins at 5 p.m. at Nandi's Prince Charles Park on Friday. There are 12 fights scheduled, which includes 2 women's bouts. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, Tomu Ngonovo knows it will be an uphill battle when he takes on Savanathan Aliba Jr. at the event. Ngonovo, who has come in to replace Joseph Quadro, will be fighting in the light heavyweight category for the first time. Rohit Deo has more.
Tomu Ngonovo had to race against time to prepare for the bout.
Aliba is a tough fight. And standing in this weight, in the light heavyweight.
He is a middleweight boxer and fights Savanathan Aliba in the light heavyweight division. The Naitasiri lad is wary of Naliva and knows he will need to be at his best.
I'm just a middleweight and coming up fighting light heavyweight will be a tough fight for me.
Naliva is confident and is banking on fan support.
I'm calling out to my supporters to come and support me in the weekend.
Naliva has 7 professional bouts under his belt, of which he has won 5, 3 by knockout. Ngonovo is less experienced, having fought only twice, winning once. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
The Fiji National Sports Commission has made a submission of close to $7 million in the 2017-18 national budget.
4-year development plans from our sporting bodies, and so a number of sports have put those in, and that has been considered because we are now identifying other sports that we can get gold or get in medal contention at Tokyo's.
Vodafone flying Fijians who sustained injuries last week against Scotland have been cleared to prepare for the Pacific Nations Cup. Coach John McKee says players like skipper Kapusingera, Chaleva Tumbua, William Mata and Verni Kingoneva are going through light training runs. Meanwhile, Aseli Tiko Rutuma, who joined the squad last week, is in contention for a place in the final squad.
Medical reports were quite good today, although you can see we have had a number of players on separate training, just to rehab them back to full fitness. To step up his training a bit tomorrow. He's just, he came off a long travel, joined the group late, and had a bit of sickness over the weekend. But I'm sure he'll be stepping up his training tomorrow and keep building it up towards the end of the week.
The Telecom Fijianas arrived home this morning after finishing 5th in the final round of the Women's 7 Series in France and the record 4th place for the 2016-17 World Series. This is the best series finish any Fijiana team has been able to achieve, and the team believes they still have potential to do better. Meli Tavanga reports.
2015 and 2016 we ended up on 8th place, but now we're moving up to 4th place. We are happy and we're so proud of ourselves. The last World Cup in 2013 we go for a qualifier, but now we don't look for qualifier. We go straight to World Cup, and I'm so happy for the girls because of the teamwork.
4th, and as we managed to do what we planned, and the girls are very happy, and there's a plan.
The side will go on recovery and they will resume training in 2 months' time. Malitawanga, FBC Sports.
Great news for local car racing, with the Fiji Car Club securing the Nanuku Airstrip track for the next 2 years. The car club had not been able to host any races so far this year due to the unavailability of a venue, but this is about to change with the recent announcement. Rohit Deo tells us more.
The home of racing will once again come alive with wheels, brakes and drivers.
Nanuku Resort has finally renewed our lease agreement, which basically means now we'll be able to race again. We last had our quarter-mile drag race last year in November, so it is a big gap.
Racing enthusiasts haven't been able to ignite their racing cars, and the club says they need to get the drivers back on the tracks.
After we won the election this year, we had promised the members that we will race this year. And we are keeping to our promises that we will race this year.
And the first race of the year should also take place shortly.
We are planning to have about 5 to 6 races, as announced earlier. We will definitely have the first race on the 16th of July, and this is good news for the racing environment of Fiji.
The club has more than 200 members, and with numbers growing every year, signs are that drivers and their toys are here to stay. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
The Wellington Hurricanes launched an extraordinary comeback last night and snatched a 31-all draw against the British and Irish Lions in their final midweek match of the New Zealand tour. In today's Play of the Day segment, we take a look at some table tennis action. The finals of the China Open took place earlier this week. That's it from Sports Tonight. Catch weather later on with Angie. And in the world of the weird and the wonderful, a new island appears off the coast of North Carolina. Stay with us for the details.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo talita kana varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and domoy viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Kombinasyon mo tikola ndo talita kana Radio Fiji 1 kina domoy viti.
Kaya go silil tale, nagurara may nawamanyi, nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gitu pinasabale pag nagundurong barong na Radio Fiji 1 nandomoy viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 nandomoy viti na ponga ni BNN.
In New Media tonight, we take a detailed look at the evolution of the device that changed the mobile industry and made Apple the biggest company on the planet. And Angie joins us now with the latest in weather.
There and welcome to the Weather World.
We're like this close to the long weekend, and seeing this wonderful weather just takes us right into the holiday mood. For today, we saw some coolness and some sunshine across many parts of the country. Looking at today in the west, it was a beautiful day with our friend Sunshine. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, it felt much cooler. In fact, it was the coolest spot in the country today at 27 degrees. And up in Vanuatu, clouds limited the sunshine for a bit and cool breezes are likely for tonight. At sea, southeast winds gusting up to 35 knots with rough seas. And for the tides, high tide tonight will be at 10:27 with a low tide tomorrow morning at 4:29. Sunrise will be at 6:38. For tomorrow, the weather is all clear with cool winds which will bring fresher feel to the day. Tomorrow's temps, Suva and Ba looks much cooler than today at 24 degrees. And looking ahead to Friday, hooray! The long holiday will be here in no time, and guess what? It will be all clear for swimming, surfing or just spending time with family outdoors. And that, Jackie, is FBC weather for tonight.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. On Fijian Pulse today, we asked which ministry should get the most allocation in the 2017-2018 national budget.
Ministry of Infrastructure and Transport, MOIT, they should be getting more money compared to all the ministries.
Infrastructure, because through infrastructure like roads and all that, then improve the movement of goods and services. Yeah, that improve the economy.
I believe it should be given to Ministry of Infrastructure and Technology because, well, it's my opinion. Fiji needs a better road system. So if they have more money, they can build a better road system for the public.
Ministry of Health, because of every time we're going to hospital, there's no need for us when we go there. You know, we need to update it, update what you want from the Ministry of Health.
Ministry of Housing should get more money to cater for people who need more residential properties.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, a new island has appeared off the coast of North Carolina. It's a mile long, about 300 yards wide, but visitors are warned to be wary of circling sharks and stingrays. Recapping the main stories, what will the new budget bring as we count down to the announcement? Nandronga Nabosa province under the spotlight for wrong reasons, and Yellow Ribbon Project relaunched. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, should World Rugby bring more Tier 1 teams for tests against the Flying Fijians? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, today's shot of the day was sent by Ashwini Singh of Kulukulu, Singatoka. Silhouettes of young and old playing volleyball as the sun goes down. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. Or you can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight from the team and I. Good night.
Bula, kera mai Singatoka, kera ndo talita kana varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Si Kuminasong Butikola, ndo talita kana Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw ko agaw sila tali, nagurara may nawamanyi, nandunga. Gitu talita gini ang gagawin na sa wale, nagundurong barong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti na po ang gahin ni BNN.